Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. Ha ha. Well, what a big day for SCOTUS. Just when I was writing them off yesterday, and I am a little disappointed about that other case, but we'll see how that plays in. But boy, they came right back with a big smack upside the egghead liberals' dream of selective bigotry. Isn't that how you say it? Bigotry. Yeah, because I think the regular pronunciation of the word is not permitted. So let's see. How you doing, Rubber Toe? Hey, Kicking Bird. Mr. Kibler, how are you doing? Haha. Kim, nice to see you. Ingrid. We'll get people in the chats. I don't know if people thought I was going live tonight or not. I figure why not? Boy, I tell you, they can go after Mr. T and go after him. He's not even in office. And Roe v. Wade's out the door thanks to Trump. Reverse racism out the door thanks to Trump. Ha ha. And like I said, they are going to be stepping up their attacks on SCOTUS. And I said in a couple of broadcasts ago, I said they could try anything, including, I used the word assassination. Well, had a bomb threat today down at SCOTUS. So we'll get into all that stuff. But let's get some people in the chats here. See who's showing up. Yeah, this evening. Hi, Mike, 1176. Tyne. Ingrid. Cindy. Diane. Hi, Diamond Lil. How you doing? Debauchery. Yeah, debauchery. Pre-version. Wild West, how you doing? Hi, Cliff. Yeah, Vicky, how are you? I'm glad you're tuning in from Texas. I had one broadcast that only had 63% of the viewers were from the United States. So we had an international audience that night. I'll have to see which one that was. Borinkin Project, how you doing? Welcome aboard. Hi, Marla. Outlandish, how you doing? Hi, Sharon. CJ, 1975. What do you got? CJ Jeep, CJ5? So, let's see. Hi, Vicky. How are you doing? So, what are the history books going to show about this period in time? We read the history books about the American Revolution and we say, oh, Boston Tea Party. Oh, this happened, Valley Forge, this, Cornwall surrendered. Oh, okay, I know the whole story. But as we know, it was a process of 7 years. But you read it in the history book, you figure, well, that was a heck of a weekend, that 1776 battle. So, no, that's the way we got to look at it. What's been happening in our day and age. How are the history books going to look at it? When has the SCOTUS ever been under this type of an attack? Bomb threats, coordinated news stories, trying to have desultory stories about justices, those congressional hearings being taken seriously about Kavanaugh, by that woman who talked like a 12-year-old, and all she needed was a big lollipop and pigtails while she was giving her testimony. When have we ever seen that kind of attack? That's going to be in the history books, along with a lot of other stuff. They were careful what they said about Reagan, but about every president. But as soon as it got to Trump, they dropped all protocol and came up with the most fantastic, outrageous, libelous statements. They took me out. The screen just went blank. Rose right, outlandish. Haha, I'm back now. I don't know what happened. I got a thing on that took up the whole screen, said, please reload. I've never had that happen, but just in case it got cut off, I was saying, as soon as Mr. T came in, they hit him with the most libelous, criminally libelous, in my mind, statements they ever put out about a president. And all that stuff is in the history books. Oh my gosh, Potato did that, Vicky? Wow. I'm glad. Is that the one where somebody put the sound over? Because I made a copy of that, but I'm not doing a picture show tonight. Let's see. Let's see. I stand up for my rights. That's right, Wild West. Resident moron walked off the stage of NBC. Yeah, I saw that. He looked, again, he always looks like he's lost. He goes the wrong direction. I don't think he was supposed to get up. They were supposed to go to a break, and then he leaves. He just gets up and starts leaving. So, yeah, the Supreme Court ruling made Resident moron very upset, didn't it? Well, outlandish, that's wonderful news that your husband's doing better. We're all glad for you. Hi, Jennifer. Whoa, there goes my chats are jumping around on me. Yeah, I'm back. I'm back. I don't know how long they had me out for. My Scooby snack. They can't handle the truth. They can't stand the truth. That's right, Debbie. So anyway, what I've got in the title on my thumbnail is Alito warning. And it's a comment that was a published comment, okay? In the newspapers, part of history, there's no changing it. He said that he felt that some of the things that were going on, especially that leak where they leaked out the Roe Wade decision, he felt it was to provoke assassination attempts on justices. Now, that's been a while, but he did make that statement. So that is a public declaration that they are considered, or at least Alito does, considers himself to be in fear of harm. And we don't know what kind of threats have been received that have not been made public by any other judge, not just the Supreme Court either. Hi, Melinda. Yeah. Oh my gosh, Cindy, that's something. Yeah. I don't know if that's how they make those masks or not. Well, thank you, Cindy. I appreciate it. So I don't know. I'm going to put something together, and I'll probably have to do it on Bumble if they ever get all their you-know-what in one bucket. A broadcast for the T.D. S dot. Okay, TD, and then last word is S. For that crowd, do it just for them, because it's getting down to a point where, like that meme said, if your hatred for Trump is stronger than love for your country, you got a problem. And we need to start pointing at very specific things out that were lies about him. Because I told a friend of mine once, if I believed everything that was said about Trump, I would hate him too. Hi, Pappy Two Bears. But the difference is I don't believe what they say. Okay? I can see with my eyeballs what he does, not what they say about him, but what he does. And that's another friend that's never talked to me since. But hey, we got to start coming out and saying to people, you want to support candidates that are for many of the things I can't even call out what they call themselves, or I'll get in trouble. Hi, Donna. How are you? Oh, Asians. Well, I'm sure it was a lot of people. Now, this SCOTUS decision is a lot bigger than the ramifications of that are going to start to settle in, because you have half a century, at least more than half a century, of people who were discriminated against and lost career opportunities, changed their lives because of a reverse racism policy. And, one thing I was thinking the other day, they started handing out law degrees like bags of popcorn. And, the whole world operates on supply and demand, right? So if you get a bunch of lawyers, they get these streamlined Marxist courses they go through. They really don't understand law. They get trained in how to conduct a lawfare, and they got their degrees. And they're, if there's not enough demand for lawyers, somebody's going to go hungry, right? Or start washing cars or do something different. You think they do that? No. They increase the demand. How? By making things more complicated, by suing every foggy day, people are getting sued. So, okay, you wanted the business, now you're going to get the business, especially when these people that have been discriminated against, lost positions, had their careers delayed, had to go to school that was their third, fourth choice. What about when they start suing for violations of their civil liberties? And we know from Mr. T that Harvard's got $40 billion in the bank, probably $50 billion by now. Oh, they're ripe for the picking. So we'll see how all these bright, shiny new attorneys that are hungry and tired of trying to do slip and fall cases and all this, they start thinking, how about if I start defending the Constitution? Okay, how about if I start taking cases for conservatives that have been wronged, instead of running around trying to defend somebody who doesn't identify like the rest of the world and wants somebody to bake them a cake with a phallus on it. How about you go and try to help I'd venture to say millions of people that have been damaged by these reverse racism policies, because it's not just colleges. Okay, this is going to go to jobs in the federal government, jobs that require federal contracting jobs, private companies that contract federally that were given preferential treatment on the basis of race. All of them are going to be looking at something. So all you lawyers out there who are saying, gee, I wish somebody get run over by a truck or something so I can make a living. How about you get your brain in gear on how to take up for people who've had their civil rights violated, really violated. Because there's plenty of stuff coming up, folks. Plenty of stuff. So, yeah, Nikki said, please hit. Hi, Nikki. How are you doing? You're not late, Donna. 15 minutes. Piece of cake to go back and listen to that later. It's just my usual psychobabble. So, anyway, the ACLU is stirring the pot again. I'll be reading some articles here in a minute. But as you all may have heard in my past broadcasts, I'm puked out over the ACLU, American Civil Liberties Union. And I've said that the legal system, starting with the Bar Association, needs an overhaul. But you know, what I'm talking about right now, it may overhaul itself to a large degree by people who have been trained to in political science or their law degrees to always think in this stilted way of reverse discrimination and reparations and the rights of dysphoric people. You know, when that dries up and you got to pay the bills and you look and you say, wait a minute, that guy qualified, or gal or whatever, to go to this college, and they didn't get to go because of their color. Maybe their brains will start working the way it's supposed to work. And so it may be a self-adjustment to a big degree. But as far as the ACLU is concerned, I talked about this story last night where they're suing and trying to make the Attorney General's office and which state was that, to pay their legal fees, trying to force the state to allow people to change their gender on their birth certificate or their license just whenever they want to, you know, not for any, hey, the doctor made a mistake or you know, any legitimate reason, you know, how they focus so much time and energy on that and try to force judgments that pay their bills. Where is the ACLU with all these people that have been discriminated against? Where's the ACLU for what I've talked about a couple of times and talked about? Steve Leto has put out on his channel, he's a lawyer, about people get pulled over, and if they have cash in their pockets, the police can just take it. And most of the times, 9 times out of 10, the expense of trying to get that money back is more than the money you have taken. And that there's thousands of people a year in this country who suffer that kind of abuse. Before any trial, any charges, even the most skeletal suspicion can be uttered. And if you've got $1,000 in your pocket or $2,000, or you're going to buy a used car and you got $5,000 in your pocket, they can take it. Where were you for that stuff? So maybe this shift here and this opportunity will get them to start thinking in a different direction. I don't know. I don't care for them. I know they used to be a good force. Yeah, Steve. Well, we got the, I put a copy of it up, the We're not supposed to be having commies in government organizations or anything funded by the government. The Communist Control Act. That's easy to look up. Hi, Falafel. How you doing? Yeah, I saw a article where Bill Barr had said that he was told by the FBI that the Steele dossier was from Russia, actual Russian disinformation. So somebody lied to Bill Barr, and they're letting that out in a little drip. How you doing, Roy? The cat, how you doing? No sound? Larry said no sound. Check your device, Larry. That's right, Falafel. Sodomites. Oh, I'm not even allowed to say that. But I did. Now, I'll tell you what. Last night I said that I heard Trump say that the military gave him stuff. Okay? I heard it twice. And when he said that, all you got to do is look up that big CNN drop of the Trump transcript when he's supposedly waving those papers around. They did put a printed transcript on the screen that you can read along, and you will see him say that the military gave him those papers. So I noticed a couple questions about that. When did he say that? And that's when he said it. I think it was about the 1 minute mark. Steve said 2 by 2. Donna said 5 by 5. All right. He was waving news articles around. That's right. Well, the whole point of that crazy matter, and if you run into a friend or relative who is, hey, we got Trump now, ignore the fact that they're celebrating the only person who wants to stop mutilation of children. Okay, that they're celebrating him being put in a bad position. So just ignore that. Maybe bring that up to him. Say, well, you want people that support mutilating kids. I guess you would be happy about that. But the truth of the matter is that the New Yorker magazine put out an article about Milley and what he planned to do and what he was claiming Trump wanted to do, which is all Trump discussed the next week during that taping. So shouldn't they be after the New Yorker magazine for the supposed breach? And Trump was being sarcastic when he's saying, oh, you understand this is real secret stuff, right? And laughing because it's in the article. What's so secret about it if it's a news article? And then the real smack in the face for all these Trump haters is that what they're talking about in Bedminster isn't even in any of the charges, so-called charges. So, I said a while back that Bedminster was ground zero. Bedminster was where Trump went, and I said they weren't going to go to Bedminster, and I've been right. Now, if they say he was waving around these highly classified documents that the librarian claims to have the authority to kick around a president, which they don't, why didn't they raid Bedminster? I'll tell you why. Because they got their backsides lit up by Marines and Secret Service. That's why. So they didn't even think about going to Bedminster. Now, they may go. They may, if Trump tempts them, okay? It has everything set up where he wants it to be, and they come and raid Bedminster and make themselves look up like a pack of idiots. But I guarantee you, during the Mar-a-Lago raid, they didn't want no parts of Bedminster. And I was right. So now they're saying, well, he's waving around these classified documents in Bedminster. We have this audio. Okay, what are you going to do when the video comes out? Because there's video of it. And as like Mark Levin said, Jack Smith, if he's behind that leak of that audio, he belongs in prison. That's jury tampering on a federal case, much less the fact that it is the former president of the United States and more than likely be the future president of the United States. Interfering with the election is interfering with our government's function. So we'll see. There's going to be a price to pay for it, a lawful price to pay. And in case anybody's listening to me thinking that I'm trying to do something I'm not supposed to be doing, and these Trump haters, they got to use their brains just a little bit. What's already been written down in the books for history? Get them to think about it. How come Biden's the first president that came to his inauguration on a private plane? We all know about the number of cannons with the salute and all that stuff. But the real simple story, how come he had to charter a private jet? How come he had to hire literally thousands of armed bodyguards in plainclothes? That's in published articles. He did that. Every other president, the Air Force delivers the president-elect to the inauguration. The U.S. military takes charge as their charge for the president's safety. None of them touched him. Okay? Do they really think that all those soldiers and all that fence work around the Capitol was because of the little old ladies that showed up to protest on J6? And that Biden needed all that private security? That's right, Nikki. Mr. T had to be stand Air Force One. Yeah, and about Camel getting sworn first. So there's so many questions about that, and it's in the history books. That was a bizarre, quote, swearing in. And they can blame COVID all they want, but it's in the history books now that the business with the things on your face meant nothing, and they knew it. The CDC knew it, Fauci knew it, that it doesn't stop you from catching it or transmitting it. But they were still forcing millions of people to put that on their face. And they were forcing Senate hearings and House hearings to be disjointed and votes from afar. And the constitutionality of that has yet to be decided. This remote voting in the House of Representatives, that's nowhere in the Constitution. So all these things are go down in the history book. And I'm not saying anything that hadn't been said, like about the CDC, that they haven't said themselves in their own publications. How can you create something to inoculate you when that against something, when you can't even isolate that something and say, this is what it is, here it is, look in this microscope, there it is. They can't do that. And the CDC admits that. A ghost. What they've got pills you can take for ghosts. I saw a ghost. Here's a pill. I mean, that's all factual matters. That's all stuff that's been published and admitted that they can't isolate that strain. They have no idea. They couldn't tell you from one glass of water to the next if it's in there or not, because they don't even know what it looks like. So where did we get this big hubbub from, and for what purpose? Oh, I get it. I get it. So people could show up with their faces covered up with the glasses, goggles, masks, and a different ID or a different electric bill, or go to a drop box with a suitcase full and nobody knows who you are. Man, maybe that's got something to do with it. So I'm pushing it, talking about that. But hey, it's going to go down the history books whether they kick me off here or not. So, back in the day, and if you know anybody that's a doctor or retired, prior to all this new, let's call it modern medicine, I guarantee you, they could tell you stories about placebos. I'm sure a doctor who's been in practice for 40 years, 30 years, 50 years will tell you, yes, I have prescribed placebos. And people say, what for? What's that all about? Well, it's accepted in the medical community. I'm not a doctor, but from what I've heard, it's been accepted in the medical community that people come to the doctor because they have a need. They want care. There are things called psychosomatic illnesses, and they can be where a person does have a cold or symptoms, an actual bug, but the psychosomatic part comes in when they are so distraught or upset over it or dwell on it that they actually get worse. And doctors ask that retired doctor, how many times have you prescribed a sugar pill or a placebo? And they'll tell you many times. A lot of times it's with young people. And the fact that they take something the doctor gave them makes them feel better, alleviates their distress. Psychosomatic, as most of you know, but for those that don't, psycho means mental, okay? Somatic means body. When you have a psychosomatic illness, the pressures of the mind and the emotion create feelings in the body that are negative or hurtful. And of course, it is a medically accepted practice to give somebody something that makes them feel better, but does no harm. It does no harm to give a patient a placebo and let them think they've gotten a higher degree of treatment. Of course, they get, something else for the underlying cold or flu or whatever it may be, arthritis or something. But why did I get into that? I'll tell you why. There's a certain percentage of, there's an article that came out in Great Britain that almost the majority of the VAXs, right, were saline solution. Saline solution. That's in Great Britain. That's in the UK. Oh, really? And that's from the company that starts with PH. Their own statement. Now, why is that important? Well, remember when Trump was at that one town hall and somebody asked him about the VAX? He said, well, for one thing, the people wanted it. Wanted it. All right. It was, I would say, warp speed prior to his leaving office, just 60 days prior to him leaving the office, they had something approved by the FDA. And I submit to you that it was a national placebo. Now, what they did after Trump left office is something that's going to have to be put under the microscope of a serious investigation. Now, that doesn't mean it was saline. Regular flu shots have been recommended for decades and decades. But an advanced, tweaked flu shot that gets approved by the FDA, that the ingredients don't have anything in there that's going to, hurt anybody. And it alleviates, for those that want it, the complications of a psychosomatic reaction. Does that make sense to you all? So I guarantee you, if you have an old-time doctor that he or she has prescribed in the past sugar pills, salt pills, or other forms of placebos to give comfort to their patients, there's nothing wrong with that. Who got shown the other day, Debbie? Haha, make common sense cool again. That's right. Well, see, that is the purpose of psychological operations. And I got to watch my language. TERROR. Okay? Operations. They hurt you physically, but they come through your mind. Okay? So, people hear the term psychosomatic. They think, people don't take them seriously when they do have physical problems. And they say, if somebody says psychosomatic, that doesn't mean it's all in your head. That's what makes psychological warfare criminal. Okay? It does cause bodily harm, cause physical anxiety, causes blood pressure to go up, causes you to release what's called cortisol into your body, which is a corrosive hormone, very harmful if you're under a constant state of stress. Okay? It causes heart disease, but it starts in the mind. Okay? Psycho goes to somatic, body, mind to body. Criminal, illegal warfare campaigns, criminal law warfare campaigns, psychological warfare campaigns. They cause physical harm. Hi, Redhausen. How you doing? Steve, how you doing? The blue pill, he said. So, and isn't it so? Isn't it true? Who said that? Well, let me see. Oh, these chats jump around. The soul sickness manifesting, the cat says. Yeah, I mean, spiritually and mentally, it affects your physicality, your physical body. Yeah, Donna, that they would change it after he left. Well, I think it was national placebo in the form of a regular flu shot because the CVID was just another form of a seasonal flu. And it's in the history books that in 2019 and 2020, there were no flu cases, right? How does that happen? Oh, that's because the people that got the flu, they called it the CVID. Oh, okay. So yeah, you put out a new and improved version of the seasonal flu shot and say, hey, it's a warp speed for this particular illness, and there you have your national placebo, where it is analyzed and approved. Samples of the VAX are on hand, and hey, people feel like they're protected. Hi, David. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, there's something going on with that. Well, the Johnson & Johnson is history. You can't get it. And they're going to find out why. And again, in the history books, the CDC already put out that the injuries from the VAXs, right? 95% of the injuries come from 5% of the batches. What's that all about? Okay, that's not going to be forgotten. Rand Paul ain't going to forget it. Did y'all see Fauci bought himself a $12 million home? Was it 12 million? On the Potomac River? Right down from Mount Vernon or something like that. Hi, Tennessee. How you doing? Hi, Phil. Yeah, Kim, you're right. And that's in the history books too. All the hand wringing, shut down the economy, make everybody shut down their businesses, do the schools, do all this stuff, and it'll only be 10 million that die instead of 100 million. Okay, you do all that stuff. Well, we didn't even have 10 million die. Like Kim just said, the death rates are stable. There's no changes. Well, that's because everybody stayed home and didn't get in car accidents. What an idiotic statement. More people died at home from suicides, alcoholism, domestic abuse. Those went up. Car wrecks went down, but that stuff went up. So it all evened out. Yeah, Carol. Hi. He did get hired by one of the university, Howard University, I believe. I don't know when Ouchie may get Epstein, but there's a good example of how psychosomatic illnesses or problems work. Okay, alcoholism, people dying from that. Starts in the mind, in their home. They can't work. Their businesses, they go out of business. The bills are due. They start drinking. The people are dealing with this psychological operation against them, forcing them. That's when we come to the term our good friend brought up, Oakman. Perfidy. You're going to hear that term in the future. Remember that term. And you heard it here from Mountain Man. Perfidy. Look it up. If you commit perfidy, you're in big trouble. That is when you con somebody into doing something claiming it's for their benefit, but it's really to harm them. You're being perfidious. So don't you think perfidious is to say, close your business, put this on your 2-year-old's face, boogeyman about your grandmother, have your family arguing. Next thing you know, Junior's banging his veins in the bedroom and using drugs because, he's not going to school, he's not doing anything productive. You start fighting with one another because the bills are due. Oh, but it is to keep you safe. That is being a perfidious a-hole. So there's been a lot of perfidy that we've been dealing with during these illegal psychological warfare campaigns. So I'm just looking at chats real quick here. That's right, Outlandish. I agree, and thank you for putting that spelling that way, so I can give you a verbal thumbs up. They all need to dangle. You know, I was in the store the other day, and you know, I'm making that point to not be obvious, but I will look around and see who is still wearing those stupid things, you know, and I'll try to do my own psychological analysis of what the heck I'm looking at when I see one wearing one. And I don't know what area you all live in, but where I live, that's all but over with now. You don't see hardly anybody wearing them. But I was in the store the other day, and this young girl passed me, tall brunette, and she was wearing jeans and a coat, and I could tell she was working on a farm, either a horse ranch or a farm or both, because of her boots and her jeans, and the backside of her jeans looks like she sat in a cow pile. Okay, now she's got one of them little arm baskets you get to when you're going grocery shopping. You know, she's not pushing a cart, and she comes walking past, and she's got that thing on her face just bigger than life. And I didn't notice her backside till she walked by me, and I said, "Man, you got the wrong side covered up, wrong end." So, but anyway, that was a young nature chick, liberal chick, you know, probably a vegan. And I see that type of person do it, or a very low testosterone male, or older ladies, you know. And like I said about my mother, she used to cover her face and her nose and mouth when it was flu season and stuff, but I don't have a problem with that. But anyway, yeah, crackhead hippie is probably what she was. So yeah, but I don't see too much of that anymore. So good thing that this bomb scare at SCOTUS was a flash in the pan. But I can tell you what, if 2 years or however long it was after J6, they're still going around and snatching people up like they did that lady in New Hampshire, they better be finding out who did this bomb scare. Yeah, that, Larry, you're right. Listens to that, and or MSDNC. Their brains are infected, and I don't know how, you know, what we're going to do with these people. And I go through True Social, and Diamond Silk put up about the media. You all heard the story where this guy went into was it a school or an office building? He had the gear on. He had his AR-15 and a helmet, and when there started popping up the lobby, pop, 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 pop. And there was an employee in there who was packing heat and popped back. And the character took off, and he got taken down somewhere, but they don't mention the fact that the person inside, the innocent person inside doing their job, had the foresight to be able to protect themselves and the people in that building. No, you don't hear a peep out of that, out of the media. And so, yeah. Oh, thank you, Nikki. I forgot all about that. I was supposed to do that about halfway through, but this is a viewer-supported, creator-supported channel only. And I have a link in the description for Buy Me a Coffee if anybody wants to help the channel out. And I put up my all-time list. I need to add Tanya on there. And love to garden. So I appreciate everybody that's helped me out. And I appreciate you for reminding me, Nikki. Thank you so much. Links in the description. So anyway, yeah, I mean, our kids don't have heroes anymore. Where have you gone, Joe DiMaggio? And Superman is supposedly playing footsies with another, guy, and Luke Skywalker is looks like a bum off the streets, and they're destroying all the heroes. To me, that guy that intervened, just doing his job. He was there doing his job and saved a lot of lives because he was being a responsible gun owner. That's a hero. That's somebody for kids to look up to. But they don't want that. They want them looking up to, the purple hairs and the blue hairs. Hi, Alicia. How you doing? Hi, Bambi. So, you see. I'm just looking here through the chats. Lori said, oh, my goodness. Oh, have some medical situation there. Well, I hope it turns out all right. No, there isn't anything for the young ones anymore. I see those memes where you see little kids standing, they got their pants rolled up. They're standing in a creek and one of them's holding a stick. They're looking for crawdads. I mean, some of these characters standing out in the street, stop the oil, and with the purple hair and everything, they don't know what it's like to have a childhood. But we've been under a psychological warfare campaign for decades, ever since they traumatized the country by taking away JFK the way they did. That was the start. That was where they won. Oh, did you hear? I talked about him in another live stream. Geraldo Rivera quits Fox News. But prior to that, I saw a video where he was riding in the boat. He said he'd been fired from the 5, and we talked about that. But now he's gone altogether. He's not going to be on as a guest or nothing. And I had an issue with him. I mentioned that he popped up out of the blue on the Johnny Carson show in the 70s because somehow he got a copy of the Zapruder film. The Zapruder film, for people who may not know, is an amateur cameraman actually caught the moment JFK got shot. It's called the Zapruder film. And I was going to go a little more into that. It might have sounded weird that I just popped up out of the blue with that. But I had also been thinking in the 60s, JFK's autopsy was performed by Dr. Michael Baden, Baden. He's in his 80s. He also did the autopsies on O.J. Simpson's victims. And he also did the autopsy on guess who? In his 80s. I'll see if anybody gets it in the chats. Hi, Ivana. Yeah, he was just another social operation for programming. How does a nobody out of nowhere get the Zapruder film and end up on Johnny Carson show in this 50 years ago? And he's been part of our daily life on TV ever since. And the copy he had of the Zapruder film had the frames reversed to make it look like Kennedy was shot from behind, when it is accepted fact now that he was shot from the front. Let me see what. Whoa. Lori got it. David gave it a shot. He said Floyd. He may have done Floyd. John put a period. Yep. Tubala got it too. Sherry got it. So here's this Michael Biden doing the autopsy on JFK in 1963. And then he's involved in all these high-profile autopsies almost 60 years later. So you look at him and you look at Geraldo. You look at a lot of newscasters today. I can't think of her name right offhand. I played clips of her. The first time I saw her on a newscast was when Reagan won, and she was, of course, a heck of a lot younger, but she was a correspondent, and she looked like, somebody went to the bathroom in their Cheerios, and I don't know who wasn't happy about Reagan winning, but these newscasters were unhappy about it. Andrea Mitchell, and you see her on tonight just about every damn night, 40 years later. And they're all being fed the same information. They're all participating in this unlawful psychological warfare campaign. So just a thought. And I think that the clock is ticking, because as Gary and he was in last night, he said he got 6 days to go on a 6-day weekend or something like that. I noticed that today when I was looking. Sometimes I go through the chats. Something's going to happen. I'm not saying tomorrow or next month or whenever, but this writer's strike is still going on. And the big reason for no cinematic movies coming out was about the CVID, right? Can't have theaters. You can't go into movie theaters because of, the illness. And, but even now that's blown over, we don't have a lot of movies coming out. We don't have a lot of, you don't see the usual heavy hitters. Now you see Tom Cruise, but that's about it. He's doing a new Mission Impossible, and before that, he did this Thunder whatever movie that was a big hit. But other than that, it's mostly AI or computer graphics and garbage. So you have this writer's strike. You don't have the late night comedians on anymore. Who's paying their bills? You've had Hollywood all but zippered up for the past going on 3 years. And what they do put out have been bombs and garbage. They said that the Indiana Jones 5, what did that one critic say? I mean, I'm not a movie critic. I talk about them sometimes, but it's obvious to me that they've gotten a hold of the entertainment industry and news industry for propaganda purposes. Okay. So, and people can tell it stinks and they don't like it and they're not going. So woke Indiana Jones sequel likely to play to near empty theaters on opening weekend after low pre-sales. And there's a quote from a critic. Indiana Jones was just a given it was going to make money. And this to be the final one that Harrison Ford does. Though, if it wasn't garbage, it was a good movie, the mighty fan base would be coming out for that. But they don't care for it. And this critic says, quote, "There's no excuse on God's green earth for a movie that cost $300 million to look this bad," one critic said. And I saw a clip from that movie, and Indiana Jones is the heroine is driving a vehicle, and he's alongside, either riding a horse or his own vehicles, and they're yelling across at each other in this hectic chase scene. And he says, "I fought the Nazis, don't you?" And she's in her vehicle looking at the road driving, and she looks over at him and she says, "Yes, and you also colonized countries and hurt the indigenous people," while they're going down the road trying to keep from getting killed by the bad guys. Just the most stupid stuff, the kind of stuff people are sick and tired of hearing of. So, of course, it's not going to have it. Who wants to go in there and listen to that crap? Yeah, Wild West, that's right, the Waltons. And don't forget Bonanza. Bonanza and Andy Griffith. Yeah, The Sound of Freedom. Yeah, that's people are really hungry for a good movie. And Sound of Freedom is real, okay? It's not propaganda and garbage. And it's also going to let people hear about stuff they never knew existed. Rifleman, yeah, Tennessee's and Waltons, Andy Griffith, and Dukes Hazzard, and Gilligan's Island, I Dream of Jeannie, and all that, the Beverly Hillbillies, the Munsters. I mean, you can spend all day watching that stuff and still have fun. Let's see. Angel says, a ghost at Columbia University. Yeah, they never heard a saw from him, Obama. But he did show up for a secret lunch with Joe at the White House. Did you all hear that? My brother used to try to imitate the rifleman. He had a Daisy BB gun, and he would go outside and try to do that, cocking it and shoot it, and cock it and shoot it with one hand. Remember the rifleman used to do that? He could do it too. My brother could do it. He did get to that point. But now everybody go, you put your eye out with that thing. And Paul Rhino is coming out of the woodwork. He says it would be a disaster if Trump got back in. Paul Ryan. Now, he's on the board of Fox News. Now, what's going on there, Paul, with Geraldo? Now, all of a sudden, you're coming out. Former House Speaker Paul Ryan said Wednesday on CNBC's Squawk Box. What's he on NBC for? He's on the Fox board. Said that it would be a disaster if the Republican Party nominated former President Donald Trump in 2024 and, quote, dangerous if he wins. Remember that video clip I played? People are going to die. People are going to die. People are going to die for 2 minutes. Oh, yes, did I tell you people are going to die? That's called a psychological campaign. And it causes psychosomatic illnesses, namely it drives people nuts. Oh, my goodness. Here's something else Bernie put out. In Michigan, this bill in Michigan, has anybody heard about the bill coming up in Michigan? Let me tell you what it's all about, folks. And you tell me if this isn't a war on morality, okay? You want to talk about a freedom of speech issue. But anyway, Michigan bill could put pro-life conservatives in prison for 5 years for, quote, hate speech. Let's keep an eye on this, folks, because we're going to find out who definitely has to go that supports this bill. Does not need to be in politics. They need to be voted out. And any judges that support this type of bill needs to be impeached or otherwise removed from office. No ifs, ands, or buts. There can be no compromise with people like this. Okay? There's no middle ground. Let me read to you what they say. Quote, under the bill's framework, quote, sexual orientation and, quote, gender identity or expression are included as classes protected against intimidation. If passed, the hate speech legislation would make violators guilty of a felony, punishable by up to 5 years in prison and a fine of $10,000. Okay, so if somebody comes up to me and starts telling me about their gender expression, and I say, look, you're a freak, get away from me. You just disgust me. You're weird. Okay, give me the creeps. I could go to jail or be fined $10,000. Well, yeah. Okay, let's keep an eye on that and see who in the world is backing that and see what college they graduated from. I got the cat. The cat, have a great night. Yeah. You have a great night, and I'll see you next time. I know I'm going long. I'm sorry. I appreciate y'all sticking with me this long. And yeah, Obama wandered off that stage in a daze, just a daggone daze. Well, I've got some Ukraine stuff if I could save for next broadcast. Some reports on Congress had a meeting about keeping the dollar as the reserve currency of the world. And yeah, they got a problem. Yeah, Nikki, I know. And I tell you, I would put the bad finger on everybody pushing that bill and make sure that they are run out on a rail politically. They're run out on a rail. I'm speaking politically, not physically. And most of us in the comments know what being run out of town on a rail means. So, but what's happening over there in Ukraine, it ain't looking good, and I can go over it. Go over it on another broadcast. But I tell you something else. I said keep an eye on Kash Patel and Dan Scavino. Since we got so many people on chats, I'm going to bring up some about Dan Scavino. He put up a post that showed DJT's limousine going up to Bedminster, coming up the driveway. And it was only about maybe 8 seconds long or 10 seconds long. And I meant to get a clip of that, and I still might do it. And it was playing the theme song from Phantom of the Opera. And I always say, Dan Scavino likes to drop little hints and send little messages whenever he posts. And I was wondering, what was that all about? So if you can imagine it, the limos cutting up the curved driveway to this big, beautiful facade of Bedminster, and the music's going da 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 da. Have you ever heard that song, Phantom of the Opera? And I've said in the past that my father was a musician, and he could have toured with Metropolitan Opera. He played piano, played classical music, and he had us watch Phantom of the Opera one night. And the tune, I remember the tune, da 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 da, and that was the end of the clip. And I said, "Wow, what's he trying to make Trump look like the Phantom of the Opera? What was that all about?" And so I continued doing what I was doing. And then later on that evening, it hit me. What do you think the message he was sending? I won't take up too much of your time, folks, but I get a chance to, the chat's a chance to guess what it was. And I'm certain I'm right, because there's words to that theme song. And once it hit me, I laughed. I was going to put a thumbnail up saying Trump cracks me up, and have this Punisher face having a laughing face on. It cracks me up. Scavino cracks me up sometimes. Debbie said last act. See if anybody else has a guess. That's a good guess. Steve's got a frog in there. Toad frog. Okay. It says, let's see, hopefully the end of the movie, Larry says. Well, that part of the song itself is the Phantom of the Opera is here inside your mind. So he was saying Trump's in their mind. And it's so funny. It was when he was returning from one of their dopey indictments. The Phantom of the Opera is here inside your mind. So that cracked me up. So I look for those little things you put out. But then I said about Kash Patel. About 3 days ago, I think I was talking about where Kash Patel said, hey, listen, you conservative AGs, all these crimes are known by Hunter, and if they happen in your state, how come you guys aren't going after Hunter the way that Fat Albert and Stinky Jack are going after Trump? And that's a good question. Since these local AGs like Fanny 2x4 and Peekaboo, and you got at least 3 different local prosecutors causing trouble for the 45th president of the flipping United States. So how come nothing's happening? Well, he put out another post today. And I said that Kash Patel's one to pay attention to, because he was putting it out there that he approved a barrel of money to Elon Musk, okay, out of the Defense Department's budget. So Kash Patel names on which state attorneys general should go after Hunter Biden. Okay, so he enumerated some criminal acts that Hunter had done. They have the evidence for. He's saying the names of the attorney generals for the territories the crimes were committed, and he said, you've got 24 hours. Holy cow, is that a order? Is that a one like Marjorie Taylor Greene said, whistleblowers, if you're out there, the time to come out is now. Next day, you had the whistleblowers. So Kash Patel saying, you got 24 hours. Is something going to happen with these local AGs? Very interesting. I say very interesting. That's right, Tennessee. He'll get discovery. They can't deny that. Well, they dropped everything, all but everything about Ivanka, going after his children. You know, these Trump haters, it's getting hard to be patient with them. He's the 45th president. Don't say former president. Don't hint that he's the current president. He is the 45th president of the United States. He has every right under the law to possess classified information. The librarian has no standing under law to demand anything from him. Like Trump said, the most they can do is say, please. Okay? What Jack Smith is doing, what Merrick Garland is permitting, and the raid on Mar-a-Lago are illegal acts. And that's in the black and white letter of the law. So, for these ones that hate Trump and say he was waving around secrets, it's a lie. They're repeating lies. And for their TDS to tell them in their brain that there's some power of the bureaucrats to treat Trump like a bum on the street. They got another damn thing coming. He's the 45th president of the United States. He deserves respect. He's going to get respect, and he's protected. And these people are going to pay a price, a lawful price for what they're doing. And for anybody that says that BS to me about Trump, that's exactly, if they'll sit there long enough to listen to it, that's what I'll tell them. There's no law that says a librarian can force him to do squat and he can hang on to whatever in the hell papers he wants. And the military gave him the stuff in the first place. They track that stuff. If he wasn't supposed to have it, he wouldn't have it. It's the military that says what the deal is, not Stinky Jack. That's my name for him. And I'll give you another thing that I think Trump put out as a hint. Did you ever think you would hear Trump say beautiful Hillary? Did you ever think you would hear him say that? He said, she doesn't matter anymore. So Joe is Crooked Joe now. Instead of Crooked Hillary, you can't call them both the same name. You can't have a Crooked Hillary and a Crooked Joe. No, that's exclusively Joe's name now, Crooked Joe. And I'm going to call Hillary Beautiful Hillary. She's so beautiful. I said, boy, I never thought I'd hear that. Well, the next week rolls around, the next speech he's at, he's talking about the judge that gave Roger Stone a hard time, the judge that gave Paul Manafort a hard time. I mean, was brutal. I forget her name. It's something Dash Jackson or something like that. She's the one that also decided the Clinton Socks case, where Trump is exactly right in saying she's the one, she didn't know it at the time years ago when she gave Clinton a pass, that she would be the reason. There's no question about Trump's position right now. So he said she's a very fine and capable judge, a wonderful person. Before that, he was calling her worse. He was calling her worse stuff than he was calling Hillary. But now he's saying they're both beautiful, wonderful, and they're nice. You know what that tells me? Trump is saying he's mocking them because they're contained. They're done. And he's just saying, oh, you're so beautiful. Look at you sitting there. He's got them both. You don't hear squat out of Hillary. You don't hear squat out of that judge. So that's some of the things that I was reading into what Mr. T was saying. Because why would he ever call Hillary beautiful Hillary Clinton? Did you hear the Swedish embassy in Baghdad in Iraq got stormed? Sweden passed a law that said it was okay to deface the Quran or burn the Quran. Well, 12 hours later, they're kicking the doors into the Swedish embassy in Iraq. And that's not going to stop. That's going to happen in other countries. And Stoltenberg,
who's in charge of what is it, the UN or NATO or whatever. He said, "Oh, there's nothing illegal about that law. It's okay." So, okay, the UN, countries like Sweden. Let me tell you, it's bad enough they got conservatives in the Western world PO'd at them for what they're doing, but they're going to get the Middle Eastern people starting to take a hard look at both the United Nations and their little crony satellite countries and the leadership in those crony satellite countries. Don't forget, it's not the people. It's just like when I was reading where the correspondence was talking about Americans. It's not the people, it's the leadership of the people, not the people themselves. So, hey, I think it's part of the Great Awakening. What's Mike Pence doing in Ukraine with Greta Thunberg? Mike Pence went to Ukraine, and so did Greta Thunberg. Ha ha ha, Cosette. Ha ha, see what you say. Did I hear about the German Catholic Church? No, not today. I didn't hear anything. Yeah, that may be true, Cosette. That may be true. But it was a mockery of that judge and of Hillary. They have been contained somehow. Contained somehow. They have been dominated. They are defeated, and he's mocking them. So I don't know. I say Pence is after Chris Miller thanked him for helping with the largest military action in history after J6. I know where Pence is at. So I think Pence is over there. He's either passing on word and I've said about Zelensky, he could have cost Trump a lot of problems over that phone call, but he didn't. He played ball with Trump. So now you got Pence over there dealing face to face with Zelensky. And I think Pence did what he did to draw all these radicals out. If we'd have gotten in a big fight over J6, if Pence would have sent those electors back and postponed the election, the streets would have exploded. And for everybody out there to say, well, good, because I'm ready for him, I got a gun. Remember, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of helpless and elderly people, young people would have been victimized. Okay? Civil unrest is never any good. You may be able to take care of your yard and your house and everything like that, but you got to remember there's fellow Americans that are vulnerable. So if Pence allowed that to happen, we wouldn't have gotten anywhere near the exposure in a calm way laid out before the people like we have now at this point, and it's just starting. It was drip, drip, drip. Now it's a stream. Every day we've got something new that is very important that regular people are taking note of, and they have time to digest it in a sensible way without the filter of fear, panic, or psychological operations. And that is very important. And remember what John Durham said. I think he laid out a template, because it's not just the prosecutor's office. He said, before we take action, we have to evaluate. If you go back and listen to his testimony, listen to him when he's being questioned by a Republican. Now, yeah, he got his shots in on Adam Schiff and these other characters, but they're mostly getting up and taking up Americans' time and Congress's time and Durham's time to showboat. But when the Republicans question Durham, they elicit responses out of him that if you really pay attention, you understand what this operation means. And he said that we weigh what the probability of success, okay, what the outcome will be, and if it's just a waste of time, we don't do it. And he proved that, like I said last night, by losing the first two cases ever in his career of 30 years. He proved that the attorneys, the jury pool, okay, the judges, they were all corrupted. And to go through that exercise with another person get subpoenaed, another person to be charged, is a waste of time. And that, I think, is a signal, just like Alito. I think this signal about him putting out that they felt their lives were in danger, and this bomb threat that they had happened, and some of these decisions that have been handed down that may have been done under duress, and if there's communications going on that we're not aware of. I know what John Durham communicated. He's communicated that the system he is sworn to operate under is broken. And the Constitution cannot be supported, and justice can't be served. That's what he was saying. And look up drop number 11. What must present itself before military intelligence takes over three-letter agencies? Okay, guys, I've talked enough. I'm coming up on an hour and a half. My God, I appreciate everybody spending their precious time with me. And I'll be broadcasting again soon. I'm not certain when, but if you subscribe and hit the notification bell, you'll know when I go live. And like I say, I got a buy me a coffee link in the description if anybody wants to help the channel out. And I thank you all for helping me out in the past. And I hope you all have a great night. I will be seeing you soon. This is Mountain Man, over and out.